I do like how it's so early in the song as well, like a bass forward thing being under the first minute. That's badass. Welcome back to Low End University. As I've said before, I wasn't exposed at all to The Who growing up, and aside hearing some of their music and pop culture and such, it's simply a band I've never properly explored. However, I've covered a few of their tracks on the channel by now, with my most recent analysis being their track Eminence Front, which was a much more sleek and polished take on their sound after coming from Quadrophenia's The Real Me, which was the track I did before that, so almost sounded like a whole different band. But today I'm guessing we're back to that livelier, raw sound as I'm hearing My Generation for the very first time, which is from their very first album of the same name, released back in 1965, and in Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest songs of all time, it was placed at number 11. Off we go.
Just because we get around. Talking about my generation. Things they do look awful. Talking about my generation. I hope I die before I get old.
We got this vamp here, I think G down to F. And what's cool about this is that the 1 is G major, but when they go to that F, it's not the 7 in the key of G major. It would go down to F sharp, right? But that would sound just way too bright. So they're really just going that whole step. So it has that flat 7, more minor scale movement, but it's major. So it's not super bright. And just talking about My Generation, so it has a certain inflection on it. I'm going to go back to the beginning. Yeah, the production's so different. The last track I heard from them was Eminence Front. Again, that I didn't know the Who could sound like that. I really like that sound. It was a whole different take instrumentally, but this is like their humble beginnings, I suppose, even though this became like a whole legendary thing. Just getting into it, of course. But yeah, it has a nostalgia in terms of the production. Other bands I have listened to from this era, the Beatles and such, it almost has that charm about it. But yeah, never got into the Who. Slowly but surely, I'm going to make it happen. Okay, yep, G and F.
People try to put us to down. Talking about my generation. Just because we
little
get
Alpha 440.
around. Talking about my generation. Things they do look awful. Talking about my generation. Hope I die before I get old. Talking about my generation.
I like the call and response thing happening. You have this lead vocal singing the verse, right? And then the answer is almost the chorus happening simultaneously with the verse. It's a unique song structure that, a lot of bands don't do anymore. I don't hear this type of thing. I almost want to call it like a doo-wop type thing because bands from that era structured their verses and choruses almost to be, synonymous with each other. But, the Who obviously became a whole different thing based on what I've heard. But what's cool is that maybe some of their roots and influences shine through really strongly on this first record. Okay, let's let it roll.
Talking about my generation. Things they do look awful. Talking about my generation. Hope I die before I get old. Talking about my generation.
Part of me wants to believe that could be a bass, but it might be guitar, the little thing between it. That kind of thing. It could be either. Just knowing what I know about John Entwistle now. Okay.
My generation, baby. Why don't you all fade away? Don't try
That was a really exaggerated fade away.
dig what we all say. I'm not trying to cause a big sensation. I'm just talking about my generation.
The vocal style is interesting. Instead of just kind of saying the word, it's like it's exaggerated an extra few counts. I thought it might just be the fade away thing, but it was like, so there's like this rhythmic, addition to it. Why that is, I don't know. It really kind of makes you wait for the word, especially if it's a phrase that's been repeated. So that's kind of neat. It's almost like adding any more words could have just taken away the directness of the phrase. So to extend it, rhythmically extend it that way. Cool. Go back and wow. Now the bass is getting in on the call and response thing. Again, it sounds so foreign when you think about modern music and you don't hear this type of framework anymore, but it just works so well here. Let me go back a bit when that starts.
Say my generation, trying to cause a big sensation. My generation, just talking about my generation.
Yeah. Had they added a line talking about my generation, anything else to that would have just complicated that phrase. So it needs to be succinct, right? Okay. Bass, call and answer. Bass solo. Okay, kind of pentatonic. I think that was sort of the whole scale was traversed. I don't know if it's bluesy in nature, but it definitely has that pentatonic. Let's see. It's like a whole solo kind of broken up in the same way. It's just a really neat, like a Trading Forest type of thing almost, but with the song structure you've already heard and the vocals. Neat.
Trying to cause a big sensation.
All right. All right. I gotta turn my tone knob down. Dig it again, dig it again. All that subdivision when you have the song just kind of trucking along, jump, 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 jump. So dig it again, dig it again. It adds in a certain kind of energy there that really helps when the vocals aren't there. It almost reminds me of like that stuttery kind of thing he's doing with his voice, generation. And there might have been more of that. I wasn't really listening for the specifics in the vocal delivery, but something about that plinky articulation. I feel like the bass solo could have taken that from the vocal lead a bit. So we had like a, yeah, again, I got to turn my tone knob down, but we had like a Thunderfingers, the Ox. Again, a bass player I'm really learning a lot about. I've loved everything I've heard. It's been such a lead bass theme on the songs I've heard. So this is no surprise. I figured there would be something like this, but I just like the way it's structured. One more time, because this might never come back. I do like how it's so early in the song as well. Like a bass forward thing being under, the first minute. That's badass. Normally it's like the song's fading out and you're hearing this kind of stuff. Okay. All right. Got this woody tone too. Digga-digga, 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 down. Not sure if he's using 3 or 2 fingers there, but it's really fast with 2. Cool. All right.
Why don't you all fade away?
I was about to say, where'd the A major come from? That was a very slick modulation. Up a whole step, we've been in G, now we're up here. But it's like all of that meandering with the bass solo kind of was the chance for it to change modes already. And it's like that was the bridge, energy-wise, between where we started and where we're going. So up a whole step always adds energy.
What we all say, try to cause a big sensation. Just talking about my generation. This is my generation. This is my generation, baby.
Again.
People try to put us to down. My generation, just because we.
Okay, interesting. We go G, whole step, modulate it to A, now up a half step. So, yeah, just why? Why not go up the full whole step? Make it even higher.
Try to put us to down. My generation, just because we get around.
Yeah, that just something about the way the phonetics and his delivery, it just reminds me of that bass solo. It just reminds me, I don't know why I'm linking those two together, but it's this punchy thing that kind of breaks up the phrasing of everything. I find it really cool. The out of 440 thing's kind of screwing with me. This happens in older recordings, and I get comments like, why don't you just retune the bass? But like, it's not exact. I would have to like really find it. So I'll just try not to play along right with the recording because it might be more obvious on your end than mine. But it's a little like up, kind of in between, somewhere in there. Right here. I'm bending the string. Even higher. Whoa. Keith Moon going nuts. Again, I feel like my entire experience with The Who really started being a fan of Dream Theater, and because I was a huge fan of Mike Portnoy, and he just talked about Keith Moon endlessly. That's kind of where I first really heard about him as a drummer, and I've later learned just what a crazy drummer he was, the personality, everything about it. But him having like all crash cymbals, no hi-hat, that chaotic popcorn, just like what we're hearing right now, was a huge part of the energy. You know, kicking the drum sets. I know enough to know that stuff. But this is kind of cool to hear it in such an early iteration of their sound. Like way early on, it kind of had that presence in the drums. Just going nuts. I really dig that. Up to C now. Okay, the drums are badass here, but I almost missed this bass part happening. The tone doesn't cut through a ton. Again, this is older production, so getting the nuances really up close is kind of tough sometimes, but I think it's following the same kind of blues scale pentatonic outline of that bass solo that was more prominent earlier. Drums are really just taking up the sonic space here, so it's got this energy. You know, the guitar's just holding that C. But I hear the bass back there going. It kind of sounds like a... Something back there just really gives that whole drum part some movement. I also like how the bass is straying away from the guitar, not just holding on the root. It's putting movement behind all the drum stuff. It just has that rhythm section power thing happening. Wow, neat. So chaotic here. The whole song just like unraveling. That's just interesting. Like the tempo's everywhere. The vocals are kind of coming in like unsuredly, just little things here and there. Almost like that stuttery thing I was talking about, just waiting for the actual word, breaking it up with rhythmic scatting, if you will. Bass is just kind of let loose. I like how it almost personifies the messaging. My generation. I feel like a frustrating call-out type of thing. So the music kind of storyboarding it in the background is really, I like really cool illustration. Again, for a band's first album, you can feel the angst really coming through the speakers here. I mean, what are we, 1965? 60 years later? Wow. Okay, let's ride this out. The song is kind of like tripping over itself, too. The stumbling. Wow, what a way to end that. Some very cool things happening in this song. Obviously, I'm going to say like the bass coming in early on and having kind of a lead thing and just being unhinged at the end and falling off the rails. I think I'm most fascinated with the song structure on this one. It started off kind of, I don't want to say innocent, but just more playful, more accessible. You could just really jump in and rock and then hold back. Kind of had that call and answer thing, right? You know, you make me want to shout. That's kind of the song structure I'm thinking of, where it's back and forth. And it just devolved into this angsty, trashy, everything unraveling. What a really cool, like feeling to accompany the frustration about my generation. I need to go back and check out the lyrics for this one, but very cool song structure for 1965 for a band's first album. I assume they were all very young. It almost has a very experimental feel even today. Just in that song structure, considering where the song started and where it ended are like two totally different things. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. This one's been on the list a while. This is a month I really wanted to dig back and look at early lists for songs that have been on there forever, bands I need to circle back to, and we're going all the way back to the Who's debut album today with My Generation. But if you'd like to support the channel further, come find us on Patreon. I do full albums there. I have bass lessons, music theory lessons, tons of stuff, and a fantastic community. You should come hang out with us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification, like the video, all that fun stuff. I love you all. We'll see you in the next one.